Okay, so far under our settings, we've went over the program settings, or under this icon here. And so these are our predefined settings. What we want to do is set up a bitmap hot folder. And what that will do is enable us to create a bunch of files in advance, drop them into a hot folder, and the RIP will automatically process those files for you without you having to change any settings. It can do it for you. So in order for the hot folder to work, they all are associated with a predefined setting. So you can have as many hot folders as you want or as few as you want. But what we want to do is we want to tie a hot folder to the setting. Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself here because I didn't really go over some of these other tabs yet. But in order to do this, I want to show you a quick adjustment, because the file that I want to use has a black background, and all my predefined settings for white ink actually have a transparent background for the white method for generation. So what I want to do is I want to start with one of these. I'm going to go to white and color ink, production mode, high quality, and I'm going to use selected settings. And then I'm going to go ahead and change my background generation method. In this case, I'm going to use background color. Now, the use background color will automatically use black as your background color, or we can select it, but we can't select it without an image in the window. So we're going to go ahead and just say use background color. And now we're also going to go back into our manage settings, and this time we're going to go save current settings as. It's going to ask you a name. So I'm going to move this down, and I'm just going to abbreviate it. I'm going to say white and color ink, or just say white and color. We'll just say dash, production mode, high quality. And you can abbreviate, you can do whatever you want. And then I'm going to say black background. Okay? So what that tells me, it's a white and color job, production mode, high quality, with a black background. And those are saved. So we're going to go ahead and exit. Now we're going to go back into our settings, and we're going to go to the bitmap hot folders. Now the way the bitmap hot folders works is we have to create a hot folder and link it to one of our print settings, and then we tell it what to do afterwards. But we want to also, for reference, go to show file name encoding. Now what this does is it tells us how to set up the file itself. Now we're going to use the legacy. The legacy version is the MOD1. K version is for a different printer, but the legacy version is the MOD1. And basically the way it works is we have a job name, our left coordinate, our top coordinate, our X coordinate, our Y coordinate. So X and Y is actually our sizing. So left, all of these, if you use a P, that means point. So in this case, it's 8P5 means 8.5. So these are all by inches. So what we want to do is we want to name our job. So in this case, we have this over here, and again, this has a black background. That's why I wanted to create this new preset with a black background as a generation. So we're going to call this Overwatch. We don't want to use underscores in the name itself, but we do want to use underscores in between our settings. So in this case, we have job name. We're going to go underscore. And as we see here, our left is where we want to start. If we start it with a number, then let's say 1, and it's going to start at 1 inch. But I want to center this design. I don't want to start it as a design that's 1 inch over or whatever. I want it perfectly centered. So I'm going to do the letter C and then another underscore. And then we're going to go top. How far down do we want to go? I'm going to do 1 inch. If I wanted 1.5, actually, let's just do 1.5. So I'd say 1P5. So it's 1.5 underscore. And we're going to go size, and we're going to say width. What width do we want? Well, in this case, let's just go 8 inches wide. And now I'm going to underscore again. And then my size and my height, which is your Y. Well, I don't know how big this file is, and if I put any kind of number in there, it's going to distort my image if I don't know what that height is. So in this case, I'm going to use the letter A, which means auto. So it's just going to automatically create the height. And that's really it. So we're going to go ahead. We can put a number in there, but if we don't know the number, we just choose A for auto. And that's what this naming convention is. Now you can create scripts on your computer, and batch whole files, folders worth of files, and rename them and everything else. That's all different than what we're doing here, but you can automate this very, very quickly. You create barcoding where you can rename it with barcodes and so forth. But anyway, so we have our name. Now we want to set up our hot folder. So in order to do that, we're just going to choose Add. So we're going to add a hot folder, and we're going to choose a location that's preferably on your local drive. If you do it over a network, it will slow down the ripping process. And we're just going to choose Make New Folder. And I'm going to name this Artwork Hot Folder. Then I'm going to create another one inside of this that's going to associate with more than one. In this case, I'm only going to do one. Make New Folder. And I'm going to call this one, we'll just do the W and C-PM-HQ-BBQ, or G rather. Hit OK. So it automatically selects that one. And then we're going to tell it what we want. Well, we're going to choose that predefined setting, hit OK. And the hot folder type is legacy. We're going to delete after printing, and all that does is just deletes out of the rip and so forth. Import, print, and remove, and that's going to remove it out of the hot folder itself. We're going to create a white underbase, and clip to image is if you have a bunch of white space, the clip to image will remove that white space before it resizes. In this case, we have a black background, so we're not going to worry about clip to image. Auto sized over graphics. If the graphics are too large, this will automatically size them down for you. If you don't already change the size of itself. And the rotate graphic, which we don't really need to worry about right now. Again, if it's just bringing in a bunch of files, say you're printing sideways or something like that, it will automatically rotate it. But really that's it. We're set up and we hit OK. So now that hot folder is tied to there, all we need to do is take this file, and we're either going to copy it or we're going to drag and drop it. Now in the hot folders for this, basically anytime we take the file and drag it in, if we don't copy that file, it's going to delete the original file. So what we want to do is we want to either copy it and paste it in, or we can click and drag it and then hold in the control key, and then that'll create a copy of it. Or if you do any kind of scripting, you can script all this. So we'll just copy it in, and let's take a look and see what it does in the rip. So as you can see, it created the job for you, and it removed it out of this area here. So if you had a bunch of files, you just drag and drop them all in, and it will automatically generate for you everything. So that's pretty much how the Bitmap hot folders work. And once again, you can use this with any variation in here. So if I had more than one printer, I could change my settings for that particular printer, and I could have double settings saved for one printer and a second printer. You click and drag into one folder, it drops it and prints it to a different printer and so forth. So it's very versatile. Any kind of settings that you have in here that we'll go over in other videos, it will actually give you the ability to save these in predefined settings, and also couple that with Bitmap hot folders. It can really help expedite a lot of processing.